Okay, so I've recently been doing more sports photography the last couple of years. With my Canon system, I got my first, believe it or not, as old as I am, I finally bought my first 7200 a couple of years ago. Love that thing. I really wondered why I didn't get a 7200, even just for portraits, not just for sports, but why I didn't get one sooner. Really, really versatile. I still, I'm not, I know 2470 is your standard zoom. That still isn't a lens that I feel like I really need to have in my kit. It's a nice to have. I'm really kind of a prime shooter for those standard focal lengths. But the 70 to 200, because you got a little bit more range, what is that, 70 to 200, you got 130 millimeters of zoom, as opposed to, let's say, your traditional 24 to 70. So it's a lot more. It's a lot more range. And for me, the way I like to shoot, that allows me to kind of get that 85, allows me to get that 105 and that 135 and beyond if need be. And those are not focal lengths that I'll shoot with too much. So it works well for me. I've really liked having it. That aside, since I am shooting with the Leica SL3, I'm filming myself with that right now with the Summicron 35. I am still kind of trying to figure out what telephoto I'm going to use. Now, I did borrow for a couple of weeks from Lens Rentals, really starting to use Lens Rentals a lot more to make sure I'm making the right buying decision, especially with the cost of some of the Leica lenses um, and the options available. I don't know why I haven't done it in the past, but I'm trying to do it more. Great company to go ahead and try gear out with. Or rent out stuff that you don't really need to buy and you just need to use for one-off kind of things. But I would like to have a telephoto lens, and I'm trying to figure out which one. I did try the 90 to 280. The image quality is amazing. That's an Apo. That's the Leica SL 90 to 280. Really unique lens. Amazing. I can maybe do a separate video on that and my thoughts on that one. But I went ahead and got this Sigma 70 to 200 to try out for a week. I did my first shoot, a water polo shoot with it, um, two matches. I shot with it only one day, but I did want to kind of give my thoughts on it. Things that I noticed right off the bat with prior Sigma lenses that kind of turned me off from using them on the Leica SL bodies, which isn't the case with this. Um, and also just to talk about how the autofocus now is working on the SL3 now that we have the contrast and the hybrid with the phase detect autofocus system. A short answer without, beating around the bush, autofocus worked amazing. I had no issues. I did not feel like the autofocus slowed me down one single bit. It did on the SL2. Um, I wanted to be able to use that camera for and just kind of replace my whole kit with it. I couldn't quite do that with that focusing system. With this SL3, flawless, flawless. We'll get into the cons, but right off the bat, autofocus, not an issue. Okay. Also, using this 70 to 200. Um, this may be a personal thing. In the past, I have had problems. I wouldn't say problem. I didn't care too much for every once in a while there'd be like a shutter lag or a missed shutter when I was using some of the Sigma contemporary lenses on my Leica SL body. Love those lenses, love the build quality, love the form factor, and they're great lenses, I think, on any other system. I had some issues. Now, of course, I didn't want to kind of write them off because I did love the lenses and the bang for your buck on those lenses are amazing. I went to make sure that the firmware was updated on those. It worked a little bit better after firmware updates, but still every once in a while there was just a little shutter lag, and this was during like portrait sessions. So it wasn't high speed shooting, it wasn't sports. There was just something just didn't quite feel right. It wasn't anything that would prohibit me from getting the shot. but it would happen frequently enough during the course of a shoot where I can't really count how many. It was a lot, but it didn't make me feel too right. There was just something off about it. Now, obviously, shooting sports, you can take a lot more images, high speed shooting. I did not have any issues whatsoever um, with this lens on the SL3. I don't know whether it's more of a Sigma thing or more of a Leica thing. That goes beyond my pay grade, beyond my knowledge base. But what I can definitely say, I know it's only one day, but I shot a lot with this, so because it was sports. I didn't have any issues. We'll see. I'll definitely update or send a message if I have any other issues during the course of the week, because I'm going to try this out for a week or two. And may extend it and see, because I've got several games I'm going to be shooting over the next few weeks. So I'm going to try this out, and then I also have the Leica version of, well, possibly Leica version of the Sigma 100 400, but that Leica, the SL 100 to 400, got that coming in today. It was supposed to come yesterday morning, but I've got that coming today. So I'm also going to kind of do a little comparison between the 70 to 200 and that 100 to 400. That is more of, these are two different lenses. That is more me kind of thing. I want to see whether a 100 to 400 fits for me. I think at the end of the day, this is going to be more versatile for what I shoot, a 70 to 200, because this is something I can use for portraits. Don't see myself really bringing a 100 to 400, especially since that's like a, I think it goes, don't quote me, I think it's like a 5 to 6.3 or 4.5 to 6.3. This I 2.8 at 105 or 135 or even 85 or 90. I still really like the look that this is going to give me for portraits, and it's good for landscapes. It's not as compact as the RF, but man, the images on this thing, the contrast, the detail, amazing. Noticeably right from the get-go, immediately, just from the back of the screen, I could tell the difference. And then when I went ahead and brought the images into Lightroom, wow. Really big difference between this and shooting with the R5 and the RF 24 to 70. But again, just one day, but it seemed really noticeable right from the get-go. All right, so now the cons of shooting sports photography with the L mount, specifically the Leica SL system, SL3 specifically. The frame rate. That's the one con. I was playing around with the different settings. So you have autofocus, continuous autofocus up to 4 frames per second mechanical. So that was kind of the baseline. That's what I started out with. It, it is what it is. You're not going to get 15 frames or 30 frames per second. So to get that perfect shot, yeah, you may miss it. I mean, that's just the name of the game. I mean, it's just going to be slower. Can you get shots? Yeah, I got great shots, and I'll go ahead and throw up some of the shots. I was playing around with that. There is also a 6 frames per second still mechanical shutter, but and I got to take a look at the settings. If you guys know, please chime in on the comments, because again, this is more just documenting my journey. I'm doing this, if not for nothing else, just to engage with the community and hopefully help you guys out, because there's not a lot of people and there's not a lot of resources for people shooting in the L mount or specifically the Leica SL system. Um, I didn't really see a whole lot of content on there comparing and helping me out on the different settings for the SL3. Again, it's a new camera, and the different options in terms of telephoto. And a lot of the options I'm going to take a look at, this 100 to 400, that's relatively new. The Sigma to 7200, that's a relatively new option. There was a Panasonic, the S Pro 70 to 200, but this is an amazing lens for the money. And I've seen, I was looking on the other YouTuber reviews and photographers and people comparing this to the G Master 70 to 200. Right off the bat, it definitely is better than the RF in terms of image quality. But there's something about the compact nature of the RF, which it's still a great lens. You know, you take a look at the experience and the fact that you can go ahead and just put that in a sling. I still, even if they come out with a better one, I still really like that compact build form of the RF 2470. I mean 70 to 200. But so that was the cons. Overall, I'll put up some of the images. I was able to get great video with this. You know, I was mainly shooting 60 frames per second. I was playing around with the 120, which is just HD, full HD 1080. I had no issues. Had no issues with the SL3 system. Had no issues with the lens. My only complaint, and I don't think it's really something that can be fixed in firmware, is the frames per second. Is it a deal killer for me? I don't think so. It's early days. I don't think it is. I'm still really happy with the shots I get. Did I miss a couple of like really key moments that I would have really liked to have? Yeah, you're going to. But I'm not shooting professional sports, so that's why I think it's okay for me. If you are shooting professional sports, yeah, that's why you're not going to really see a whole lot of Leica SL3s on the sidelines, you know, of any professional sporting events or the Olympics. It is what it is. But for me, um, I think this is going to get the job done. But we'll see, and I'll definitely kind of keep you guys posted, especially when I try out that 100 to 400. But I just wanted to pop on just because I didn't really hear anyone actually trying to shoot sports in real world use, you know, other than just, you know, taking it to the zoo or something like that. But no one actually trying to shoot sports and see how the autofocus system worked and to see how these Sigma lenses worked and really kind of a high speed environment. But that's my take. Great image quality, autofocus was amazing. To sum it up, the only con is yeah, the frames per second is a pretty big limitation. Um, I knew that going in. I knew that the Leica SL3 does not have that. If I was a professional, again, if I was a professional sports photography, that would probably be a deal killer because you're gonna miss shots. But for me, I'm not doing this on a professional basis, and so for me, um, this works. You know, if money were no option, yeah, it'd be great to go ahead and still have also a Canon kit just for sports, and then a Leica kit. But that's not really my thing. Um, Probably going to go off on a tangent here, but when I was shooting sports with the R5 and the 2470, one of the things that I have not experienced with the Leica that was a con for the R5, and this is after firmware updates, never had any problems with overheating on the R5 in normal circumstances, even out in the desert doing portraits. But shooting video and shooting high speed, I would have to manage the R5. And during the end of a game, um, you know, there wasn't that many breaks between a game that lasts about an hour of water polo. Towards like midway through the fourth period, I would start getting red blinking, and I would manage that by keeping the LCD away from the body and whatnot. But it was something I always kind of had to worry about and manage with that R5. Um, that was the only time I've ever seen any or experienced any overheating. With the Leica, none of that. 4K 60, no problem. High speed, no problem. No issues. Battery life not as strong. I did have to change out the battery midway through the second game, so it's like an hour and a half in. But again, that was high speed shooting and also shooting video, so not bad at all, but not like the Canon or the Sony batteries. Um, but yeah, that's my overall take. Hopefully that's helpful. If it is, I didn't see a whole lot of content or any kind of resources out there for shooting sports with the SL3 or the SL system in general. So I just figured to go ahead and jump on here. But yeah, that's it. Got any questions, comments? Feel free to drop them down, and I'll make sure to kind of answer them the best way I can. And if you know anything more about the settings and you have any tips for me, always welcomed. So thanks a lot, guys. Hopefully this was helpful. Bye.